Now, live by satellite to Moscow for the first UFO glasnost in television history. Please welcome, from the Soviet news agency TASS, our journalist and UFO investigator, who has researched many encounters with UFOs in the Soviet Union, Mr. Sergei Bulantsov. Welcome, Sergei. Sergei, can you hear me? We don't seem to be getting through.
I've been listening to the show, Michael.
Good.
It's really very exciting. I am very pleased to be a part of it.
Thank you, sir. Tell me, what are the most impressive recent UFO reports in the USSR?
In 1984, a Tupolev aircraft flying from Tbilisi to Tallinn encountered a UFO at 4:10 a.m.
Can you tell me who witnessed the event?
First the pilot noticed a bright beam of light shoot down to the ground. Everything on the ground, road and houses were totally illuminated by this illustration. Were totally illuminated by a beam of light. The beam of light was redirected onto the airplane, and the crew saw a blinding white point of light surrounded by concentric colored circles.
Yes, I'm told that indicates the presence of a very strong magnetic field. What happened next?
The white point of light swept down to the plane, leaving a green cloud, and began to swing from left to right, up and down once again. Finally, it flew alongside the airplane, and as if it was an escort, the passengers of the plane also saw this UFO. And after landing in Tallinn, Estonia, the crew was told that this UFO had been also seen on the radar screen.
The common denominator in these sightings seems to be some sort of light phenomenon.
In March 1981, in Yaroslavl, some 200 kilometers from Moscow, north of Moscow, two witnesses, Vitaly, 23, and Alexander, 32, saw something really very strange in the park. That was an egg-shaped object lying on the ground just 6 or maybe 7 meters from them. The object was bluish, about 5 meters in diameter and 2 or 3 meters high. Suddenly the object moved and began to open like a flower. Alexander saw two human-like beings of European type, but very tall, more than 2 meters, close to 7 feet. They grew up from the center of the object and approached Alexander. He said both beings were radiating some kind of rose-colored light. Their heads were clear, but the rest of their bodies seemed out of focus. And then a very strange telepathic conversation took place. They said, "Don't be afraid, we won't hurt you."
In the movie here, The Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the extraterrestrials communicate with us through some sort of language of music, much as you suggested they talked to Alexander. What happened next?
Both human-like beings entered the flower. It closed and disappeared.
What about the other man? What was he doing during this time?
All this time he was sitting on the snow as if he was paralyzed. He didn't take part in the conversation.
I don't blame him. Have you investigated any abduction cases in the USSR?
Yes, in June 1975, near Borisovlevsk, south of Moscow, at 2 a.m., a Soviet army officer saw a very strange domed UFO aircraft on the ground. He approached it and saw two alien silhouettes inside. when he came closer, he felt something like an invisible wall, and then lost consciousness. When he recovered, he saw an alien aircraft fly away. He thought about 15 minutes had passed, but when he checked his watch, much to his amazement, 1 hour had passed. And later, he had the same dream over and over again. He was flying over the UFO landing site. So he thinks he was abducted.
That sounds actually very similar to some of the abduction stories we've encountered in the United States. I understand you have some photographs that you can show us?
Yes, certainly. This one was made in Bulgaria, near Stara Zagora, in July of 1978. A married couple was drinking tea at their country house when they saw this hovering object. They took this snapshot with a Polaroid camera. And this UFO had been seen. Please change picture. Please change picture. And another UFO, this UFO, yes, this UFO had been seen near at the Murmansk region, near Finland's border. The same year, this snapshot had been reportedly made by the militia.
Thank you, Sergei. Joining us now is Leonard Nikishin, Science Secretary excuse me, of the Working Group Extraterrestrial Intelligence in the USSR Academy of Sciences. Mr. Nikishin, I understand that you have thousands of reports of UFO sightings in the Soviet Union.
Yes. Most of them were explained later as natural events, but some were mysterious and unexplainable. I feel these are extraterrestrial probes without life as we know it.
You mean unmanned space probes. Was there any official reaction to UFOs from Soviet science?
Recently, most scientists here dismissed them. But now the situation is changing. Several years ago, we formed a UFO group that included many investigators, scientists, cosmonauts, technicians, writers, journalists, and so on. In 1944, in 1984, we published an announcement in several Soviet newspapers asking anyone who had had a UFO experience to contact our organization.
That's interesting. We're doing the very same thing tonight. What kind of responses did you get?
Considering it only appeared to us, we were amazed to receive approximately 20,000 letters. Now we are attempting to approach the UFO phenomenon in a more scientific way, in our search for methods to contact with extraterrestrial intelligence.
Very good.
Personally, I am sure we'll meet extraterrestrial at last, maybe sooner than we think.
Thank you, sir. Sergei Bulontsov, Leonard Nikishin, thank you very much for all you've done so far. Stay with us and we'll get back to you.
Here's a reminder. Tonight, you can share your UFO experience with the rest of the world.